segment. And with me today is Mario Salas, and my name is Sharon Michael Chadwell. My two other C partners, Chris Dawkins and Caleb Alexander, they're out doing whatever they're doing. So we've got several hot topics. The first one, I have heard other YouTubers mention it is a hot topic within the Pride. This is Pride Month. And so we're going to go ahead and follow that line of thought properly with our discussion. And we're going to talk about the bromance fallout between Elon Musk and Donald Trump. Is it for real, or is it a distraction? Now, these are the things that we have all heard happen this week. Elon Musk came out and he was disappointed or upset with the budget, that bill. Mm-hmm. Then the next thing was he got mad because the EV mandate was taken from the bill. Mm-hmm. And Donald Trump says, well, they could save more money. They just take that mandate out.
Right.
So that set off really the fight of the year. Then Elon Musk comes back and starts talking about the reason why the Epstein files have not come out. It's because Donald Trump is all in those files. Right?
What the Epstein? What are the Epstein files?
That's kind of like the files where we got P Diddy on trial for sex trafficking. That Epstein files may have a lot of stuff similar to P Diddy.
Oh.
But Donald Trump was in there quite a bit when he was. It's supposed that he was on the plane, kind of flight to that island 7 times.
There's a picture, right, of Trump on the plane on the Epstein. Pedophile plane or whatever you want to call it. Mm-hmm. There's a picture of him riding around with that guy. We all know what that guy was doing.
Yeah. And then the other thing that Musk came out and talked about was that Donald Trump would have never won the election without his help. And finally, another person jumped in on this argument. Well, two people. Steve Bannon has made a recommendation that Elon Musk, who came in illegally into the country, be deported. But guess who has his back? Putin. I just heard this morning, Putin has offered him asylum to Russia. So is this fight, which is, and then Trump is saying he's getting ready to cancel all his contracts.
Oh boy, you're talking millions there.
So is this fight,
for real?
this cat fight,
for
real or a distraction?
Yeah. Well, that's a good question. I think it's for real. And the reason why I think it's for real is because several months ago, I noticed how narcissistic Donald Trump really is. Donald Trump has to see the image of his face when he looks at you. And I don't mean you, but I mean all of us. Mm-hmm. When he looks at someone, he's got to see his own face. Mm-hmm. That's what he means by loyalty. Well, that's narcissism. And you get the same, and I'm not a psychology major or psychiatrist, but I'm not stupid either. I get the same gut-wrenching feeling when you look at Musk. Mm-hmm. So I didn't expect for two narcissists to stay friends very long.
Right.
Yeah, they're never going to be friends. It was just an arrangement that would last for a short period of time. And I think it's for real too, because he's going around, Musk is going around. Look at that. Oh my goodness.
Compliments
the face of a mental disorder on both of them. But anyway.
I just want to know what type of makeup.
Yeah, they both have on makeup, looks like to me.
Well.
Yeah, one of them's powdered orange, the other's powdered white. But anyway, how is that by Revlon? But anyway, so I expected this to happen between two people that have a really severe mental disorder. They're never going to be friends. And then Musk is running around, Sharon, telling the Senate to vote against Trump's bill, his quote beautiful bill, and spending some time and money trying to convince the senators not to vote for it. So that's That ain't no joke.
Well, Trump did say, he says, I don't know why he's arguing against it because he's known more about that bill than anybody else, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But the other piece is this, and this is the piece that I'm going to elaborate on a little bit more. Musk is pushing for impeachment.
Oh, that ain't no distraction.
So let's talk about this impeachment piece. You had Musk and Trump. But on this side of the fence, you have Peter Thiel, who's a big-time tech oligarch that really put in J.D. Vance into his seat. And so there is a benefit for the oligarchs now to push for an impeachment. And I know all of us have said, we got to get these oligarchs to say, you got to impeach, you got to impeach, you got to impeach. But it's a double-edged sword. Because I went to the movie last night to go see The Final Reckoning, Mission Impossible. And
I thought you might have went to see Sinners with a Klan in that one.
No, I'm watching that one from the house too. But anyway, there's a scene in this movie where Ethan holds all of the knowledge of the world. So you got Peter Thiel, who is in the process of I'm going to use the word capturing, but getting all of the information of everybody in the United States, possibly the world, and put it in this database system for monitoring. Where did he get all this information? We got to remember that Elon Musk and his 19-year-olds were running around Washington, D.C., stealing information. And I think that if the oligarchs could get Donald Trump impeached, then we're going to have to deal with eyeliner J.D. Vance, okay, and Peter Thiel. And I think that's a dangerous, and that would be a dangerous proposition for the United States.
Well, yeah, they go around stealing elections, which a lot of people are claiming that's how Trump got there in the first place.
Basically, that's what Musk hinted to.
Yeah, they stole the election is how they got Biden defeated. And I was not a big fan of Biden, but I'm certainly not a fan of Donald Trump. But these are all, I think, well-made points that we ought to be concerned about. And everybody is wondering what Musk and Trump are going to do when all this election fanfare, political fanfare, White House fanfare, comes to an end.
And we got Putin offering Musk political asylum. So I know we got some listeners saying, well, what's this got to do with the black community? Well, yeah, there's a lot of implications for the black community.
Yep.
First of all, I believe this is a distraction as well. You've got this big blasphemous bill that still has not been approved by the Senate. There's a lot of stuff in that bill that can hurt the black community. So they're keeping all this distraction going on. Then that might prevent many of us who are writers to write, or senators, about don't vote for this bill, don't vote for this bill, or argue it, or just protest against it. So I think it's a distraction from this bill.
Right. Well, and Trump does deal with distractions, so that fight between him and Musk, I think, is real, but they always are very smart at using distractions. So there's always a combo of both. Something going on real, like the battle between Musk and Trump is real, but then he uses that because it's handy. If something is going on that may be real, he can then use it for something else as a distraction. So your point is well made, and I think he is doing that. He'll take whatever he possibly can, turn it into, he's always trying to turn in something that's negative into a win. So then that's how he's always operated. That's how he became the crook that he is. And so it's not unusual for him to do that. That's very much part of his operandi. So Well, I guess we'll see what happens in the Senate because that's coming up for a vote pretty soon. And whether that bill is going to go through, I don't think it's going to go through, frankly.
I
Because
don't think so either. It's too much. You know, when Marjorie Taylor Greene came out and said, if I knew that this, whatever it was she was looking for, was in this bill, I would have never had approved it in the House. So we've got a bunch of idiots sitting out there on the Hill who
God.
simply do not read what they're voting for.
he
against.
appointed all these people to the cabinet, these cabinets, which don't know what they're doing. They have no idea what they're doing.
Well, we saw speaking about cabinet members. This jumped over to the Department of Education.
Oh,
So Linda Mahan, who is the the Secretary of Education,
yeah,
Linda.
yeah.
Yeah, she was over the World Wrestling Federation. Anyway, she comes out and says during a Senate hearing,
Can't wait for it.
or a one of those hearings in the Senate or the House, where she comes out and says, well, she didn't know anything about the Tulsa race massacre.
There she is.
Yeah, her. Nor Ruby Bridges.
I wonder has she been drinking too much? Look at that. Anyway, go ahead.
And so, to your point, we've got folks like her in these seats. Let's talk about the 22-year-old who graduated from University of Texas in San Antonio and was an HEB bagger boy. We got a 22-year-old directing the head of the Terrorist Protective Agency, and he doesn't know anything about that business
No.
because he was HEB.
Well, how could somebody who's over the Department of Education never heard of the Tulsa race riot?
And I know this is going to upset our founder of this show, Fred Williams, who is heavy into the history of that situation.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but it's a shame that we got all these people in these governmental positions who know absolutely nothing about anything.
Look at her. I mean, she looks like she's oinking to the public already.
She doesn't know.
Do you think she shares her eyeliner with J.D. Vance?
Oh, that's
I mean, it looks like somehow they're related. Must be the eyeliner.
But she knows nothing about education. She knows nothing about the trio. She doesn't know anything, but we got these people who are damaging the education system because their lack of knowledge is on how these processes work. And of course, I'm a proponent for public ed, but she's not doing anything really to help charter either because she doesn't know. She doesn't know about public ed. She just doesn't know.
Well, there's another case of
Or higher ed.
there's another case of Trump looking her in the face and seeing himself, or seeing J.D. Vance with the eyeliner. And actually, I was looking at her lips just a while ago, and she has them formed almost like the way Trump formed his lips. So, yeah, he has to. Yeah, I mean, if she would open her mouth, it's a duplicate. I'm telling you.
Carl is really finding these pictures.
Yeah, wow. Look at that eyeliner, J.D. Vance, the lips. If she opened her mouth, we have a clone duplicate. So that's what I meant by his form of loyalty, in all seriousness, is he has to see himself in the person that he's appointed. He doesn't care if they don't know anything. So it's all about
The only thing they have to do is this now, is do a 200-word essay on their
200 words.
200 words. 200 words.
That's one page.
That's not even one page.
Oh my God.
That's basically one paragraph.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. About 7
and they have to
to 8
say it-
sentences. What was their favorite executive order?
And that's what qualifies them to be a part of the cabinet, correct?
Yeah.
Oh, God, yeah, and it's real funny to her, apparently. It's all fun and games. And then the people behind her are looking like, oh, my God, what is this lady saying?
So we got this going on. Then the other thing we have going on is Musk is contaminating a town in North Carolina. He has a superconductor just kicking out all kind of gases and smoke up in the air. And these people in this community are having long-term illnesses.
Mm.
You've got the same situation down in either Mississippi and Alabama with that water situation,
Right.
where people are dealing with sewer water backing up in their houses. And because Musk and other folks who got Trump to go along with it, got rid of regulations.
Mm. Well, yeah. Yeah, they showed a picture of Musk. Who was that? It wasn't Musk. Yes, it was. Swimming in dirty water.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Going down to some creek that's full of dirty water. And then he had the audacity to say, well, it's just a tributary of the dirty water. Well, doesn't water flow through the tributaries too?
But you think
No, that was JFK Jr.
But you think about this situation in North Carolina, and last month was Environmental Appreciation Month. We did some articles on that. That these businesses that kick out smoke into the air
Mm-hmm.
are generally placed in marginalized, predominantly
Yeah.
Black communities where the long-term health effects is there.
Back in the day, well, even now, you call that environmental racism,
Mm-hmm.
where you put all kinds of dirty, kinds of polluting material in rivers and streams and creeks that are in minority communities. You throw old tires in creeks and rivers and streams in a community where they don't monitor the flow of the river. You do that, the environmental racism. You put every kind of toxic thing you could think of, like putting oil refineries next to a high school,
Mm-hmm.
And then we know about that in San Antonio.
Right.
But and then in that neighborhood, right next to Sam Houston High School in San Antonio, Texas,
Yes,
they have
sir.
that big oil refineries, and we know right across the street in that Huntley Park neighborhood, there's a high incidence of cancer. But when they build these things, they don't care about that. It's never about caring for the public. It's always about caring for their dollars. And kind of like when that slave mansion burned to the ground. I mean, I didn't shed any tears behind that. Quite simply because people were murdered, raped, tortured at these, and all these people care about, Sharon, is the wood and the stone. They don't care what happened to the people there.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're getting married at one of these slave mansions in Louisiana or in Texas, you might as well got married at Auschwitz or Dachau, or hey, how about a bed and breakfast at the former home of Charles Manson while you're at it?
And then the other thing we have to think about is we've got Dr. Oz.
Oh my God.
He is over Medicaid, Medicare, and he made a statement I just saw it yesterday, where he says, you have to prove you are worthy to receive Medicaid. And you got these people, these Black folks in particular, who are suffering all kind of illnesses because of environmental racism.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got this nut that Oprah Winfrey supported, okay?
Yep.
Dr. Oz, saying that you have to prove you are worthy to receive Medicaid.
Well, it goes to show you sometimes people with a lot of money are the dumbest folks on earth. There he is. Oh my God, another TV doctor. Yeah, you never trust TV doctors. I don't. And you got to be careful with doctors nowadays. If a pharmaceutical is trying to pump a brand new eye drop or pump a brand new medication for heart disease, then a doctor's going to tell you, here's some free samples, and then prescribe you that free sample because they're going to get some money for that themselves. Mm-hmm. That's supposed to be against the law, Sharon, but it's not. There's a way around the law so they can get money from pushing a particular brand.
That's how come we have the opioid.
Yeah, that's right. Be careful what your doctor is telling you to use. This eye drop, whatever the name of that newest one is, costs $70 even with insurance. You're better off using one of the others that's been around forever instead of paying $70 because the doctor's collecting some money in a roundabout way. There's a way to do it in violation of federal law. There's a way to do it.
So we got this environmental racism going on. And then we got folks like Dr. Oz who are against people really getting Medicaid. So I guess you have to write a 300-word essay on why you are worthy to receive Medicaid.
Oswaldo. What's his real name?
don't
Oswaldo or something?
I don't know.
Probably some dorky name out there. Anyway.
And then next in line,
Uh-oh. Here comes a real banger.
going back to Donald Trump. So he hired Musk to go into these federal agencies to make them more efficient. And what he did was they fired all these people. Well, because of this argument that's going on right now, and Trump wanted to think, saying, was it what Elon Musk did, was it for real? Now Trump is trying to rehire these folks that got fired.
Yeah. Well, we didn't mean to fire the guy that was controlling all of the airplane crashes. Well, maybe we better get somebody back in there to help keep that from happening.
And see, now also, rehiring people who know how to do their job.
Yeah.
So all you people who like to go on cruises, guess what?
Uh-oh.
The cruise ships leaving the United States now no longer have to be inspected for bugs and infections.
COVID.
Health issues.
Botulism.
So, proceed with caution on that.
Lettuce with salmonella in it.
But there's just a lot going on. Now, next week is the parade for Trump's birthday party.
Oh, really?
But I like this Pope Leo. In fact, there's a touch of pettiness in him that I like. He's going to hold a mass in Chicago. Now, what I can't put my finger on is whether he's going to do it teleconference or actually be there. But he's going to do his mass the same day in Chicago as this parade. So we already know that Trump has this thing about crowd sizes. A football game in San Antonio may pull in more folks at an event than some of his rallies.
Than his birthday party.
Yeah. So now he's got to deal with the Pope's Mass, which will pull in people at that baseball stadium in Chicago. It will pull in people.
Tens of thousands,
not only within the stadium, but outside of that stadium as well.
Yeah.
And the reason why I'm saying this is when Pope John Paul came to San Antonio, that Mass was held in the field behind my house where the high school, where John Paul Stevens High School now sits.
Oh, okay.
And they had to shut off almost a large section of the SeaWorld area because of all the people. There were not only people in this large field, there were people occupying space around that field just to participate in this mass. So Chicago, I'm going to be watching you to see how you're going to be handling this influx of people because that's going to be a huge mass.
Yeah, and I think I'd rather look at people praying and praising the Lord as opposed to watching people that Trump hopes will goose step in his parade. Can you imagine the president? Look, I mean, that's what he wants to do. He has a bunch of people out. And I feel so sorry for the military guys being forced to their commanding officer. You have to get out there, even if you hate Trump, you have to get out there and do your duty. And he just loves it. I mean, he's so sick of himself. And I don't mean literally, I mean, he loves himself too much. And that's part of the problem.
Well, speaking about this pseudo commander-in-chief, my heart broke for the graduates at West Point during that graduation.
Yeah.
Because every other president who's done a commencement speech at that graduation stayed behind and shook the hands of every cadet.
Well, he needed to go to the golf course, obviously.
Trump did not do this. because he was going to be talking to someone from China and Russia.
And head back to Mar-a-Lago to the golf course as soon as possible.
So, and a lot of former military people who graduated from West Point
Well,
have said something about it.
and Janet, look, don't you remember when he he jammed his voice all over the TV for honoring on Memorial Day the soldiers that died? Remember that? And then remember before that he said the soldiers that died in World War II were losers and suckers. So now all of a sudden he's a pro-military man when he was calling soldiers losers and suckers.
He's not pro-military. He's only pro himself.
Yeah, smiley. That's why he smiles when he looks in someone else's face, as long as he sees himself. He doesn't need a mirror like the narcissist from Greek mythology. He just looks at other people, stares at them real hard. And as long as he sees himself, then he knows you're loyal.
Well, there's a lot to say about this week's Hot Topics. I do stress that going back to our first topic about the big romance fallout, don't get distracted, because I think it is for real, but I also believe it is a distraction to something bigger.
Good point. Good point. He uses dual tactics. he knows how to use one thing against the other.
And also, Trump has his plan on how to use distraction. Musk has his plans on how he can do distraction. And I think the key that we need to keep an eye on is J.D. Vance, because he is connected to Peter Thiel.
I wonder, will J.D. change his eyeliner sometime soon? Maybe use a different kind. I don't know.
I don't know, but we may talk a little bit more about Peter Thiel in another show.
I can't wait.
I got to talk to the guys about that. Do you want to broach that subject?
Yeah, let's do that.
You know, maybe a good topic to talk about during Pride Month.
Yeah, and also talk about were any of those white South Africans that came here that Musk made sure they came with. I wonder, did he know any of them personally?
I don't know. Well, anyway, before we sign off, we want to thank our producer, Carl Booker, for putting the show together. And we also want to thank our listeners for supporting us going on 3 years. And we already know that we got trolls because in one of our titles, your boy's name was in it. But you have your opinions, we have our opinions. And I like my opinion really over your opinion, but I respect your opinion. So you have anything else you want to say before we close?
Just real quick, and if you're living in Texas, San Antonio in particular, just want to honor James Howard, who passed away. He was the District 2 representative on the San Antonio Independent School District Board.
Yeah.
He was also a member of the American Federation of Teachers, represented union and teacher grievances. So he passed away, and we honor him for all he did in the community. James Howard should be honored for his leadership in the educational field in San Antonio, Texas.
Yep, he was on the board when I was in the San Antonio School District.
Yeah, did a lot of good things.
He did. Kudos to him. And with that being said, this is Contemporary Black Voices, Hot Topics, where we tell our stories our way.
That's a wrap. You know, Mario, we featured James Howard in the Black Book. I have